Captain Eddie White. Welcome to the first edition of Catfishing Hardcore on Facebook Live. We are going to take a more educational approach on live feeds. We will do some giveaways here and there, but a majority of what we're going to do is it's going to be live feeds based on different ways to fish, different ways to drift, different ways to fish anchored up, different ways to fish rivers. And we're going to start today, and we're going to talk about, over here on the screen, we're going to talk about small rivers and what we do and how we find fish in small rivers in the winter months. The winter is probably one of the easiest times to target fish because you can find congregations. When you find a wintering hole, I should say specifically in the northwest where we're fishing for channel cats. When you find a wintering hole, you're going to be able to find these fish and catch them consistently. It's not difficult to do. It's rather fun. You can get huge numbers, nice fish. As the live feed goes on, if I can answer questions, I will. I can't make any promises, but I will do my best. We're going to start with the big arrows on the screen. That current's going down, and that's going to be your main river current. The small arrows coming down are going to be part of the river, but that's going to be coming around that gravel bar, and it's going to be a slower current meeting up again with the main current downriver. Water's going to flow over that gravel just a tad bit to put a little bit of current in that 10-foot mud flat. If you notice the sun direction in the winter, the sun direction in the winter, it rises out of the east, sets in the west, but it always sits in the south. So the sun direction is going to hit the north side of that river. It's going to warm up the rocks. It's going to warm up the shallow mud flats. That's where we're going to start when we come in to set anchor to fish. This is something we will anchor because realistically it can take 15-20 minutes before you get a bite, and then after you get the bite it seems to be a lot more consistent. Where I would start is I would anchor up in that 10-foot mud flat. The shallower water, those fish are moving out of that 18-20 foot hole. They're moving up on that mud flat to feed. It's going to be a little bit warmer, and with the warmth, even a couple of degrees, it can dictate whether a fish is going to bite or not. It's going to dictate movement. So those fish will move out of that 14 foot, they'll move out of that 18 foot, they'll come up on that 10 foot mud flat to feed. So like I said, that's where we'll start. We'll fan cast that whole area. We'll even throw some into the 4 and 6 feet, but mainly we're gonna target that 10 foot mud flat. In the smaller picture, we kind of give you guys an idea of fish inside the mud flat, and maybe there's a little structure, maybe there's not. Maybe there's a couple branches sticking up. Generally, there's not going to be a ton of structure in there where we fish. Why am I going to start there? Again, it has to do with the water temperature. The water temperature in this particular area is going to be warmer there than anywhere else because of the slow water and because of the fact that it's a mud bottom. If over at the 14-foot ledge with the rocks, that's going to get warm as well, but it's not going to warm as fast as that 10-foot mud flat. With that said, when we start getting our numbers and we feel that we've done well and the fish slow down, we're going to move. Where are we going to move to next? We're going to run over to where this 14-foot ledge is. And if you look at the main picture, we tried to make it to where you didn't only see the river flow, but you also saw where current seams could be. There's going to probably be anywhere between 8 and 12 different current seams in this particular picture. We're going to move over to that 14-foot ledge, and the top picture, you can't see what it says, 14-foot ledge. Anyhow, where the fish are sitting is going to be that ledge. Those fish will move up and down that ledge to feed. One of the reasons being is it's generally the deepest spot, and not only that, but it's going to hold the least amount of current. The deeper you go, even though the surface may have a decent amount of current, the deeper you go, the slower the current is going to get. So my second target is going to be on that ledge. Typically, when I move to the ledge, I start catching bigger fish. Less numbers, but bigger fish. The warm rocks, that attracts them in to start feeding in that area. The main focus really is the 18 to 20 foot mid-channel hole. That's typically where they're all going to congregate unless they move out to feed. That's where they're going to go rest. I talk to a lot of guys. A lot of guys won't go sit in the middle of the hole. I will. When all of these other areas slow down, I'm going to move to that 18 to 20 foot hole, and I'm going to put the bait right in front of them. Again, it's slower. You're not catching as many fish, but it seems as if you catch the bigger ones off the ledge or in that main hole. Sun direction can dictate everything. Warmth of water can dictate everything. You got to watch just subtle temperature changes to understand winter catfishing and their movements. Fronts obviously dictate a lot. Weather patterns dictate a lot, but from what I've found, it doesn't dictate as much in the winter as it does in the summer. When them fish move out to feed, they're going to feed. Wintertime, we also downsize our baits. We're using 1-2 inch pieces of baits. We're using smaller hooks, maybe a 5 or 6/0 rather than an 8. One thing that I've discovered, which really surprised me, was in the winter, for some reason, the channels that we fish for up here like the bait off the bottom. I fished the bottom, and I next to a guy that had a float on, and he was hammering them, and I wasn't catching anything. As soon as I put a float on, it was game on, and it's been like that every time I've went out. Being able to find water in this time of the year to fish can be difficult, but when you do and you find that congregation of fish, it's going to be huge. It can be very efficient. Outside that, I mean, that's kind of where we're at with that. I have a few other pictures that we could possibly take a look at for other scenarios. This would be another wintering hole scenario. We would have fish more on the outside bend. We'd still be looking at deep water, 20 plus feet of water. And obviously you have structure that you can and can't see. Those fish are going to move slow. They're going to be congregated. There's probably not going to be as many there as there are in a scenario like this, because you have so much different current. You have so many different seams. You have so many different feet of water. And that really is going to dictate fish movement, winter fish patterns. For a simple hole, it's not going to hold as many fish as a bigger hole with all that to be able to work with. So winter fishing, it can be extremely easy if you can find the right hole. It can be extremely tough if you don't find the right hole. You could find somewhere where you think there would have to be fish and there's not. They're going to go to the same hole year after year to winter. So the one thing to keep in mind is, for you that like to eat fish, definitely keep in mind selective harvest. You don't want to come back the next year and have lower numbers because you took everything you could catch. If there's any questions, please feel free to leave something on here for me. I'll answer them as they come in. We're going to start doing this every Sunday night, about 7 o'clock. We're not going to do it for an hour. It'll probably be short segments to start, 5, 10, maybe 15 minutes. And I look forward to doing this more, and I look forward to giving a couple things away, and I look forward to talking with you guys. If anyone has anything that they want to shoot at me, please let me know. Fish hard.